picture?
Yep, yep.
And we see the picture.
Okay, so yeah, so that's myself and Steve.
And where are you, Susan?
This is Toledo in the background, which is a city on the hill overlooking the Tagus River. And this is one of the UNESCO World Heritage Sites. In fact, most of the places we visited in Spain are UNESCO World Heritage Sites. And this city was actually the capital of Spain until the 16th century. It has a very long history, and at its peak, which was in the 11th through 13th century, it was known as the city of three cultures, because you had Christians, Muslims, and Jews living together peaceably, and of course that didn't last. This is the Alcazar, which is a stone fortification that's in the highest part of the city. And that's kind of a long shot of the Toledo Cathedral, which is a Roman Catholic church from the 13th century. This is the bridge that you take to enter the city. It's a very old bridge from the 1300s. And as you would enter the city in the old days, this is where they would collect taxes from people who wanted to enter into the city. And there's a little window there on top of that. It's where the tax collector had his apartment. Now there's a Jewish synagogue that we went into, and this is the entry to the Jewish synagogue, which surprisingly for a Jewish synagogue is built in the Moorish style. And actually the synagogue was built by, it was designed and it was built by Muslims for the Jews. So that's how friendly people were back then. Now we're going to the Toledo Cathedral. That's the inside. This is a very typical Gothic cathedral. And like a lot of the cathedrals, it has this very, very fancy altarpiece, which is pretty spectacular when you see it in person. Skip that. Okay, our next stop is Granada. And basically the highlight of Granada is the Alhambra, which is also a World Heritage Site. This is a view of the Alhambra there and the city of Granada to the right. This is one of the old gates that you would use to enter the Alhambra. So the Alhambra was, it's basically a fortress of palaces. It's a pretty big complex. And it was built by the Moors when they were in charge of Spain. And after the Moors were kicked out of Spain and the Catholics took over, at one point they decided they were going to build their own palace on the site and just sort of like attach it to the rest of it. So they started building this palace, and then you can see from the inside they never finished it. It was supposed to have a domed roof, never happened, so it was never used. This is inside of the original part of the complex, the Moorish part, which is really spectacular. I mean, you can see like all of the detail and the Arabic writing, the beautiful windows. And again, you see these beautiful mosaics and just a lot of detail throughout. This was one of the larger rooms in the palace. This was a meeting place, and when the Christians took over during the days of Ferdinand and Isabella, they used this sort of as a meeting place, and they said that this is where Ferdinand and Isabella met with Columbus and gave him the okay to go on his journey. this is just some spectacular mosaic work, and it's just throughout this whole complex. It's just phenomenal. That's one of the ceilings. That's one of the courtyards. This was a palace that was known as the Palace of the Lions, and in the middle there's the Fountain of the Lions, which has these 12 lion statues made out of marble. And there are a bunch of rooms that come off of this. I'm seeing a black screen myself
Yeah.
here. Whoops. Oh God.
Oh, you're back.
Oh, that's okay, just keep on
I'm
going.
back, but I'm missing some photos. Sorry about that. Okay, let me see if I can skip ahead then. Okay, so I just missed a few of the rooms, but I think you got the idea of what the Alhambra is like. Interesting fact about the Alhambra is that it, for some reason, it fell into disrepair, and for like hundreds of years it was ignored, and people were even living there as squatters. And then in the 1800s, as people from the United States and England started to travel the world, they would go and they would see this site at the Alhambra, and a number of prominent people, including the author Washington Irving, took an interest in the site, and they started to sort of lobby for it to be fixed up, and that led to it being restored to what you see today. Okay, so after we left Granada, we were on our way to Torremolinos, and this is actually a stock photo I took of Torremolinos, which I don't really have a lot of things to say about Torremolinos. It's basically kind of a beach town on the Mediterranean. We didn't really spend a lot of time there. We really used it as our base to take other trips. We took a side trip from Torremolinos to Shoots. I don't know if I am not able to advance my screen.
Oh, darn.
Stop recording, I think, at this point till we figure it out. Gibraltar, I really enjoyed the visit to the Rock of Gibraltar. I just found it very fascinating. It was Gibraltar. It was originally the Rock of Gibraltar was basically, it was the landing point for the Moors. In 711 AD, the Moors arrived on the Iberian Peninsula, and that's where they landed on Gibraltar. And from there, they went in and they basically conquered what is Spain today. And the name Gibraltar actually is derived from one of the Moors, Jebel Tariq. It's called. It's Jebel was the guy. Tariq was the name, and Jebel Tariq means Tariq's mountain.
So we have
today.
We have no picture again, Susan.
Excuse me.
If you could try to move it.
You have no picture again? Did you see
It
the
just
big?
flashed.
You don't see the big. Okay. I'm moving on then. Gibraltar today is a British colony. Britain won control of Gibraltar in one of its many wars with Spain. The southernmost part of the rock is called Europa Point, and from there you get a view of on the left there is Morocco, and then straight ahead is the Straits of Gibraltar. We were lucky; we had a nice day, so we were able to to get a good view. One of the sort of interesting quirks of Gibraltar is that it's home to these macaque monkeys, which they think originally were brought there by the Moors and settled there. And apparently over the years, their numbers were diminished. And during World War II, Winston Churchill, he must have been, you'd think he was busy with other things, but he decided that they needed to resupply the macaques, so they brought over some more macaques from Africa. And there's a saying that as long as the macaques remain on Gibraltar, Britain will remain, it will remain a British colony. Who knows? This is one of the macaques, and you're not supposed to feed them, but an obliging tourist gave him a banana. And I wanted to get a picture with Steve and the macaque, and I said, get closer, come on, get closer. And he wouldn't get any closer. I don't know what he was afraid of. He's just a macaque. The most interesting thing about Gibraltar was something I had no clue about. I just thought it was a big rock, okay? But inside the rock are tunnels. During World War II, it was a very strategic location, you know, being like at the mouth there of the Mediterranean. So the Brits got really busy, and there's about 35 miles of tunnels inside of the rock. And not just tunnels, they also have all these different like compartments. What's another word? They're rooms that could be used for housing troops, for having supplies, for hospitals, for just all these different things. And it's really kind of amazing. It just sort of goes on and on and on. And this is one of the areas that they would have used as a sick bay. Those are not real people. They are mannequins that they put in just to kind of show, you know, what use they would have made of the tunnels. And there we are in our hard hats in the tunnel. I loved it. I just really got a kick out of that. It was liking, you know, all things connected to World War II. It was pretty fascinating. Our next side trip from Torremolinos was to a town called Ronda. And on the way to Ronda, we stopped at a farm where this gentleman here on the left, the guy on the right's our tour leader, Juanjo, and the guy on the left is he's a former matador named Rafael Tejada, and
So
now
no-
he runs this.
No
Now
picture.
he runs this. No picture again.
No, so
Anyway, this. Do you see that one?
yes, it's almost like a
Yeah.
timed out.
Oh, is it? Okay,
Yeah.
so this is the guy. This is the matador in the center who now runs this farm where he raises fighting bulls. So that was just kind of an interesting side trip. We saw the bulls and we saw the practice ring, and then we went on to Ronda, which is a very, very picturesque small city, which is its claim to fame is that it's divided in half by this very deep river gorge, and which is crossed by several bridges. And this is one of the bridges that crosses over this chasm, and the chasm is about 350 feet deep.
So no pictures.
And
There we go.
okay, you see this one?
There it is.
Yeah, okay, that's the chasm. That's us with the chasm in the background and the countryside in the background. It's very, very, very picturesque area, really lovely. That's the other side of the gorge, and you can see on the left there's like a stairway leading down, and there are people that actually make the trip down to the bottom. Not me, I did not do that. This is just some of the countryside that we saw on the way to and from Ronda. It's basic. It's filled with olive trees. It's just olive tree, and it's hilly. It's green. It's very very scenic, with olive trees all over the place.
We don't have a picture.
Okay, good. That's okay. Now we're on to Cordoba. which was another place that has a long history. It was originally it was founded by the Romans. It was then taken over by the Moors, and then ultimately, goes into Christian hands. And it has a Jewish quarter, again, from the days when we had, the different religions were living together peacefully until the Moors were driven out and the Jews were driven out by the Inquisition. But anyway, there's this very small Jewish quarter that we went through. Oh, shoot, lost my pictures again.
How much
Very
more?
sorry.
So we have it back?
I need to go back and reload some more pictures. So sorry about that. It's not going to take too long.
How far are you to, how much?
I'm getting there.
Okay. So it seems like you time out and we get a blackness when you're talking, and then a picture will flash and then it'll be black again, just so you know.
Yeah. And then it just stopped totally. I think maybe there aren't, and I'm almost done.
Okay.
Okay. The most important site in Cordoba is the Mesquita, which originally was a mosque. It's now called Mesquita Cathedral, because once the Moors were gone and the Christians took over, they took this mosque, which is huge, and you can see how long it is by that picture. They took this mosque, which is really spectacular. I mean, it's gorgeous. It's huge. It's got all these arches and pillars. And when the Christians took over, they put a cathedral in the middle of the mosque. Okay, so this is the cathedral that they put into the middle of the mosque. But they didn't destroy the mosque. They just stuck their cathedral in the middle of it. And there's sort of a combination of Moorish and Christian elements. And in this is an example of this particular arch. This was originally a Moorish art, and when the Christians took over, they put their own, Christian decorations on that arch. But then on the other side, there's still the Moorish decorations are still left. And again, here you have like a rose window that the Christians did, but you still have the Moorish arches underneath. This is just some more pictures of the cathedral. And on the outside, again, combining the Moorish and the Christian elements. Originally, there was a minaret there, and the church put the tower and the bell on the top of that. Leaving the city, we went through this Roman gate and across this bridge that was built originally by the Romans when they were in charge of the city. Okay, that's the end of that. That's the end of that particular album. What do I have left? What I have left is another album which has some pictures from Seville. Why don't I just do, I have to go back and add that. Let me just show the few pictures I have of Seville, and then I'm just gonna leave it at that because
Okay.
We need time for Marianne. Plus, oops, sorry. Let me start that again. Sorry. Cheryl did such a good, very thorough job in describing Lisbon that I don't really have that much to add to it. I would suggest looking at the video that Cheryl did on Lisbon. If you really want to experience Lisbon, because she did such a great job. Okay. So Seville, and Diana, I can see why you loved Seville so much. I thought Seville was fantastic. beautiful. You know, it's another one of the Spanish cities that has a long history, and you know, originally was settled by Romans, and then the Moors were there from 711 to the 1200s. It's I guess it's a center for arts and culture in Spain. It's the birthplace of flamenco. Um, this is not really an old building. This is actually from the 1920s that was built for an exposition, an Iberian American exposition. But it combines Moorish style and Baroque style and Renaissance style. It's a very large plaza. There's some very fountains and beautiful mosaics lining the whole area. We were really lucky that when we were in Seville, there was this. I don't know, Diana, if Diana's ever experienced this. There's this 1 week fair in April, and
It's called the
and
Ferie de Abril.
yeah,
Sort of
which
the party
I mean,
after the big week of Easter that's very solemn,
yes,
and it's
right.
all,
So
yeah.
so it's this huge fairground, and different families and businesses and organizations, they set up these tents, and every night people come to these tents. I mean, and you have to be invited into the tent. You know, you have to know the people in there, and they have to invite you in. And so there's you know, drinking and dancing and all kinds of carousing. It goes on all night long, and but it was great because it was a very festive atmosphere. There were horse-drawn carriages with decorated horses, you know, throughout the whole city, and women were dressed up in flamenco dresses, and they were showing them off, and you had men on horseback. I mean, it was a very, very festive atmosphere. So we were kind of lucky to be there during that time. We did visit, of course, the Cathedral of Seville. That's the bell tower of the cathedral. And again, you know, we have this spectacular altarpiece, which has, you know, a ton of gold and silver and all these characters in there. We also oh, and it's the remains of Christopher Columbus are in this cathedral, and we're told that the DNA testing was done to confirm, yes, it really is the remains of Christopher Columbus. We were taken to see a flamenco show, which was really fantastic. Before the show, one of the dancers put on a presentation to show us how different aspects of the costume are put together and used by the dancer, and then we saw the show, and that's the end.
Very nice.
Thank
Thank
you.
All right.
Lovely.
After that, we went to Portugal.
Thank you.
Stop share.
That was great. That was great. I love
Fantastic.
seeing it because
Thank
I was
you.
there in high school at so many of those places, and it was all a blur. It's fun to see it again.
Yeah, I mean, it's really impressive when you have the mix of the Moorish culture with the later Christian culture. And thankfully, they didn't destroy the Moorish stuff when they came in. They kind of built around it or within it, and so you still have that mix, which makes it very interesting.
That was great.
Right.
Mm.
Thanks for working through those tech challenges. It's tough.
Yeah,
Nail down one of
We
the
do need some little kids here.
Even
we gotta
children.
figure this out at some point.
But TTN for children. So
Yeah.
Marianne, why don't we switch over to you and take a trip to
Okay,
Antarctica?
well, let's see if I can do this now.
Oh, fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
All right. So are you seeing my screen?
yet. Not yet.
Okay. Oh, share. All right.
Got it.
Okay, so I'm gonna do this a little differently this time. I've got a very short PowerPoint here where I'm gonna talk about about Antarctica, and well, really just about Antarctica. There's not a lot to say about the Falklands. And then I'm going to use the pictures that the ship's photographer took, just because they're so much better than mine. I looked at mine and they all look the same, basically. So, all right. So this was a trip to Antarctica and the Falkland Islands. All right. Just some fun facts about Antarctica. It's the 5th largest continent. It's about twice the size of Australia. No country owns Antarctica, although a lot of folks have tried. The Antarctica Treaty went into effect in 1961. There were 12 original signatories to the treaty, and you can see them listed there. The treaty obligates parties to use Antarctica only for peaceful purposes. It provides for scientific investigation and sharing of plans and results, and all parties have to agree to no territorial claims. So while there were originally 12 countries, there are currently 53 supporting members, 29 of whom are considered consultative parties, and that means that they get a vote in the decision making. Meetings of the members occur each year, taking place in the various consultative member countries. More fun facts, there are presently, and this varies, but there are presently about 70 permanent research stations representing 29 countries. Antarctica is the driest continent on Earth. In spite of that, experts estimate that about 90% of the world's ice and 70% of the fresh water on the Earth's surface is frozen in Antarctica. The average temperature along the coast, which is pretty much where we were, is about 14 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't actually recall, I mean, they told us every day what the temperatures were, but I just don't recall. The average temperature in the interior is about minus 71 degrees Fahrenheit. This was a trip I took with Hurtigruten Cruise Line. They specialize in expedition cruises around the world. So not only Antarctica and Arctica, but they do the Galapagos Islands, Iceland, a bunch of other places. The cruise line was established in 1893 by the Norwegian government to improve communications along Norway's long, jagged coast. And in fact, the first cruise I did with Hurtigruten, I went with Vantage Travel, but we spent 2 weeks on a Hurtigruten ship going up and down the coast of Norway, going to places that are, a lot of which are just accessible by ship. The ship was the MS Verdure of Nansen. It was named after a polar explorer and scientist. It was custom built in 2020 to travel to the polar regions. So it was a pretty new ship. It's hybrid powered. They compared it to a giant Prius. And it's able to accommodate 530 passengers. I don't know how many they typically accommodate when they go to Antarctica. There were about 220 on my cruise. There are 3 restaurants and a bar. There's a small pool, a couple of hot tubs, a spa, a sauna, and a gym. So the itinerary itself, and this isn't terribly big, but anyway, we started in Buenos Aires, and then we flew, we flew by plane, but by a charter plane to Ushuaia, which is right here. And then we boarded our ship, and that was our home for the next 18 days. We crossed the Drake Passage to Antarctica, where we spent 5 days. And I'm sure you've all heard the Drake can either be the Drake Lake or the Drake Shake. We got lucky, and it was the Drake Lake. So we spent 5 days in Antarctica, which is down here, and then we went back up. And this time, because we were going to the Falklands, we crossed the Scotia Sea rather than the Drake Passage, and that was kind of rough. I mean, it wasn't horrible, but it was rough. We spent 3 days in the Falkland Islands. I guess the place I was most looking forward to and spent a day there is Stanley, which is kind of the major city there. And from there, we went back back at sea for a couple of days, back up to the Argentinian mainland, to back up to Buenos Aires after a stop in Puerto Madryn. Typically, you would end up back in Ushuaia, but because this was the last cruise of the season, we sailed all the way back up to Buenos Aires. Life on board. On the first day, we were given jackets, and those were ours to keep, and we were fitted for boots, and those were just loaners. And when walking in Antarctica, we were required to wear the boots. And when we came back on ship every day, we had to go through a boot wash. You stepped on it, you pressed the button, and your boots got well, I wouldn't say they got nice and clean, but they got washed. When not at sea, there were typically 1 or 2 Zodiac landings each day, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, between 60 and 90 minutes each. We were split into 9 groups for these that were spaced to limit the number of passengers on land at any one time. If there was not a second landing, there was generally a Zodiac cruise in the afternoon, weather and seas permitting. There were lots of lectures about early explorers, other history, wildlife, the ship itself, and the crew. They really they really did a lot to keep us busy. I mean, especially days at sea. There was also a science center and opportunities for arts and crafts. When in port, Stanley in the Falkland Islands and Puerto Madryn, Argentina, on the way back to Buenos Aires, there were excursions available. I did one in Stanley that was a walk. I don't know, it was probably about 2 or 3 hours along a point, and it was so windy, it was incredible. It was very, very windy. And in Puerto Madryn, I did what was billed as a trip to see sea lions, but the sea lions turned out to really not be the main event. It was more of a sheep shearing thing. And there'll be some pictures of that. Then, as I think I mentioned earlier, the photos to follow were taken by the ship's photographer, and they're so much better than mine. And I think Ginny is going to show us the photos.
I'll give it a shot. So you come out of screen share and I'll go in. Yeah, great.
Okay.
Can you see?
Yep. Okay. And we're going to go through a lot of these very quickly. Jenny, can I see the bottom of it there? Because it'll tell me where the picture was taken,
Let's see.
bottom of the picture.
And it says Ushua?
Ushaya, yeah, but I need to be able to see
Yeah,
it because,
I don't know how to make that happen. Yeah, I can't seem
okay,
I can't seem to do it. Sorry.
that's okay.
I can see it, but I don't know how to make you see it.
Okay, well, we're gonna, just tell me when we get through Ushaya. These next, I don't know, 7 or 8 maybe gonna be of Ushaya, and that was where we started off, and keep going, go over these rope things very quickly. This was Ushaya, penguins, this was an old wreck ship, just more ropes very quickly. This was, you can see in the background our ship, but there'll be a better view later. Keep on going. Just more shy. I mean, it was really a cute town. Just go very quickly. All right, now that's Telushaya.
Yeah, I'll let you know. Half Moon Island.
Okay. So these are, and I'm not gonna, these are just Antarctica, various places. We went to five different islands. These are chinstrap penguins, but the only ones I can probably recognize. You can go quickly, Jenny, we're gonna be here till Christmas. These were, whoops, do you want to get back on that one?
Okay,
That's the ship, but
there, back.
no. Yeah, these red jackets here, those were everybody's red jackets, and we had to wear our life vests. Okay, that's, I just wanted to point that out. That's the ship. Just go quickly.
Okay,
Well,
tell me if you want me to
chinstrap
stop
penguins.
anywhere.
Yep. That's the ship. More penguins. The ship again.
Ooh,
See all those little red jackets?
this is Paradise
Whale
Bay.
there. That's a whale. Yep.
Nico Harbor.
Snowstorms.
Danko Island.
Yep. Just, I mean, these are all just, like I said, we went to 5 different places.
Wow. Whalers Bay.
Okay.
Port Stanley.
Okay. Now this is in the Falklands. If it says Port Stanley.
Yes.
Okay. Yep. That's definitely Stanley, the Globe Tavern, and these telephone booths there. Thatcher Drive.
Expedition team.
Yep. That's the expedition team.
New Island.
Okay. That's there were supposed to be 3 stops in the Falkland Islands, but we only did 2 because it was just the water was too rough and they couldn't put us in the Zodiacs.
Do you know any of the names of some of these birds? I mean,
I am not a birder.
okay,
They're quite funny looking, aren't they?
yeah.
I mean, we did have a lot of lectures on the penguins and stuff, but
Great shots. This is
yeah,
Puerto,
these
Puerto
pictures
Madryn.
were just so much better than mine. This was, so the sea lions, this is, Puerto Madryn. This was the sheep shearing.
Oh,
Lots of sheep.
Yeah, lots of sheep.
Huh.
And again, this is back, this looks like Stanley again.
I can't read what it says. Oh, that's Ushua, back to the beginning. Is that the first picture again?
Oh, okay, all right, so we went through all of them.
We did.
All
Too
right.
fast?
Well, I mean, there were 160 if we didn't go through them fast.
Want me to come out?
Yeah.
Mm, wow.
Did you
No,
have
it
a
was-
sense of how long ago all this was settled? I mean, it goes way back, but or all these different
Stanley-
countries, but
You're talking about the Falkland Islands?
yeah, or any of it.
Barbara?
Yeah, or
Hmm?
any of it. I'm just curious.
I mean, the Falklands have been around for a long time and they've been fought over by Argentina and Britain. They're currently under British rule.
Right. Thank you.
And you know, I think there's still a little bit of ill will between Argentina over it.
You think? You think?
The marine life, the birds and the
Oh,
otters
it's-
and the, it was fantastic.
Yeah, it was. I mean, that's right. Excuse me. His pictures were so much better than mine. I mean, I've got some cute videos of penguins and whatnot, but it was too hard to combine them.
And then some
We got
photos of all
technical,
these lapstrake boats that looked like they'd been there, I don't know how
long
long.
time. Yep.
Long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
What,
How long was
what
your
are the pe-
experience? I'm sorry.
We were on the boat for 18 days.
Long time.
Okay,
Uh,
my total trip was, well, it was 3 weeks, and I know that because I had to count my pills out.
What were you
But-
gonna say, Susan?
But
Oh,
But
I
I-
was gonna ask you, what do the people on the Falkland Islands do? Are they for a living? Do they fish? What do they do?
they fish and they farm too. I mean, the climate is relatively temperate. I mean, it's not warm, but it's certainly not cold. And like I said, Stanley is really the main town. If anybody's going to town, they're going to Stanley.
And then do they eat what they farm? Do they import it or do you know? What happens?
That's
to
a
you?
good question, Barbara.
Just curious.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure they import quite a bit. I mean, you know, there's no way they're gonna grow fruit and stuff there. Maybe apples or pears, cold weather fruit, but not citrus fruit or anything like that.
Do they have do they have an airport?
Yes.
Hmm.
There is an airport in Stanley.
They
They
I-
must
I
have to
didn't go
fly
there.
in a lot of stuff.
Yep, yep. And it's a commercial airport. I mean, you can get flights in and out of Stanley. Unfortunately, I mean, we spent a day in Stanley, but I did this nature hike. And if I had had my act together, so to take a 10 Tarova, and so I took a 10 Tarova, but then I had to get back to get my backpack and stuff. If I had had my act together, I would have taken all that stuff with me and just stayed over there and been there for, you know, had more time, excuse me, in Stanley before I took this hike. And when I came back, we had to get right back on the tender. I was on the last tender back. And at that point, the seas had gotten really, really rough.
Hmm.
And in fact, they wound up putting everybody that was left in Stanley on that tender to get everybody
Huh,
back. And the ship had to reposition itself to be able to receive us too. I mean, it
Wow.
was kind of, I didn't know for a while there if we were going to wind up spending the night in Stanley, which would have been great.
Hmm.
I mean,
there
Yeah,
didn't appear to be
part
many
of the
people.
adventure. Hmm?
I didn't see many people.
Well, not in his. I mean, be truthful, there weren't a lot there. I started out doing a walk in Stanley where the guide was talking to us, but it was really hard to hear him. You know, there were a lot of people there. And then, like I said, I got concerned. I had to leave before the end to get back on the tender, to get back to the ship and get back over again to do my hike. So.
Quite a
and it-
trip.
really.
it
And
was.
where did you end? Where did the ship end up? Where was the
In
last
Buenos
like
Aires.
stop? Oh, Buenos Aires. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. It took off out of Ushuaia, and like I said, if it hadn't been the last trip of the year, it would have gone back to Ushuaia, and we would have flown back up to Buenos Aires. But because it was the last trip of the year, it sailed all the way back up.
So when you were in Antarctica, you were doing some some trips to land, and
Yeah,
what would you be doing? Did you kayak
just
or?
kind of hiking. I mean, just walking around.
Yep.
And I mean, I saw at least 1 or 2 days it was snowing out. I mean, it was but it was, I mean, it was, because it was at the end of the season, it was colder and probably snowier. But that said, it's what I expected from Antarctica. I don't know, Linda, you were there in February.
February, and it wasn't that cold. I mean, coming from New England, I mean, the temperature during the days was in the high 20s. You know, so I mean, it really wasn't, I had to
Yeah.
take off my gloves to take a picture, and I left my gloves off half the time.
Yep.
You know, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
the only time I kind of felt the cold is when we were in the Zodiacs. And if you're riding around for any length of time because you've got the wind kind of coming at you, then you could start, because we'd be out for hours at a time sometime, and then you get like, okay, it's getting cold now. But you have so many layers of clothes, and I had my jacket's blue. I got a blue jacket. I was at a different company. So, and they're wonderful. And the boots, I love the boots that they give you to wear, the muck boots. So you really are dressed, you're prepared for the weather. And as I said,
Right.
if you're from
Yeah.
New England, it's not, you're not shocked at 20 degrees. Or it was like
No,
27,
not-
28.
Yeah, not at all. Not
Yeah.
at all. And I lucked out. I didn't have ski pants. Everything else I had, but I didn't have any ski pants. So I don't know, President's Day weekend or something. I went to the Columbia store at the Assembly Mall there, and I bought $140 pair of ski pants for $28.
I bet you were glad you had them.
Oh, I was definitely. I mean, if I had to buy them, I had to buy them, but I didn't want to spend $100 for them. I don't know if I'll ever wear them again, but
Yeah.
$28, sure, I can.
So I think Linda said this. I thought it was sort of intriguing that there's no time zone there. You're whatever time your group
Right.
is. So whoever's there, they're all
Hmm.
different time zones. Like
Yeah,
That's
The
so
depends
research,
on-
each research center is whatever country they come from, that's the time that they're on.
That's fascinating.
interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
there a sunrise and a sunset? Is
Oh,
there like a
yes.
day
Yeah.
and a night?
Yeah.
There
Oh,
is.
sure.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. It's such a different place to be. It's so different than most of the trips we all take. So unique.
Yeah, no, it
Yeah,
was.
really
And
not-
by the way, I booked it through Linda.
All
Of
right.
course.
Well, that's great. Any more questions for Marianne or for
That
Susan?
was interesting.
Yeah, they were both great. We just have to work on our technical challenges, but other than
Yes,
that,
definitely.
great pictures, great job.
I really appreciate being taken away from here right now.
Nice, nice to get back, even though it was cold there. Well, it's nice to see everybody. I have no idea what's up next, but I'm sure it'll be interesting. And thanks for coming, everybody.
Okay.
Thank
I'm
you.
Thank you for
going,
hosting.
Thank you.
I'm going to Malta and Sicily
Mm.
in early
When's that?
June, so I'll
In
probably
June?
miss, yeah, I'll be back June 13th. I don't know when your next meeting is, but when the next meeting of the
Second
group is,
Wednesday of the month, so.
so I'll probably still be gone.
Is
It'd be the
anyone else
12th.
away?
Oh, actually, it's on the 11th. We changed it to, oh, because there's something else the 12th, I think, for TTN. So I have on my calendar that it's the 11th.
Okay.
Is that right? Or is this the one we changed? I
This is
don't
the
know.
one we changed, not next time.
Okay, I'm sorry.
We
I'm
change it
looking
because
for
there's a speaker tomorrow night that.
Yeah.
Hoping you
I
guys.
go away the 13th.
Right
So
too,
we can-
Linda.
I'll see you at the airport.
Yeah, I know. I'll be coming in. You'll be going out.
I
to
know,
Greece.
the Greek islands. I'm taking a group to the Greek islands.
Oh, nice.
Ooh,
Yeah.
anybody else going somewhere?
I'm going to Michigan in June.
Oh,
Yeah.
No, it's actually a Tauk tour.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
the
Oh.
Michigan Lakes and Mackinac
Wow.
Island.
oh,
Oh,
nice.
that sounds lovely.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does.
My old stomping grounds, so it's beautiful.
Mm,
be fun to hear about that. I'm going to the kitchen.
Where?
Yeah.
Ah,
Oh,
Go visit all your money in the
you're
kitchen.
gonna
Yeah.
you're gonna be in your nook. You're gonna be in that
My
nook.
In the kitchen, yeah. Well, great. That'll be lots of fun things to hear about.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody else going somewhere? Harriet just got back, right? Amsterdam?
She's muted.
Oh, and we're going to hear about that next month?
Are you on the docket?
No, I mean,
No?
this is my first visit to the travel group.
Oh, well, you might get.
Welcome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
welcome. You
So,
don't have to present yet if you want to, ease into it. You can
yeah, I'm not ready.
you
to
can see
present.
how much fun we have presenting
Really?
with all of the technical problems. It's not very encouraging.
Harriet's a traveler. She's got great pictures and she goes great places.
Thank you.
You do take nice pictures.
Thanks.
All right.
Just as a side note, so I went to Amsterdam and I was reading in the news today that there was this, I guess, Palestine support thing in Amsterdam near where I was. I went to the Holocaust Museum and there are like over 100 people that were injured. So I got out
Oh,
time.
Ugh.
Whoa,
Wow.
Oh, boy.
thanks.
Kind of scary. I mean, when I was there, I had
Yeah.
no idea anything was going on politically.
Yeah, crazy times
Around the world.
Yeah.
for sure. All right, well, nice to see everybody.
Thank
Have
you
a
so much.
great
Yeah.
night.
Thank you, Jenny.
Bye.
fabulous.
Bye.
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 Bye-bye.